Hey, this is Lance from LangChain. OpenAI recently launched scheduled tasks, which is a really cool feature. So when using ChatGPT, you can basically drop down to ChatGPT tasks. You can send it something, say, send me an inspiring quote every day, and then it'll give you the option to customize when it's sent. So for example, it can be daily at a configurable time. And it's pretty cool, right? That'll show up in your ChatGPT interface. Now, what if you want to do this with any project that you're working with? For example, I have a whole bunch of different LangGraph projects that implement different types of agents and workflows, and I often want to schedule them to run on crons. So we actually have this feature, and I've been using it for many months now on a number of different projects. And let me just show how this works. So basically, if you have a repo that implements any LangGraph agent workflow, chatbot, whatever it is, and you use LangGraph platform deployment, you can schedule a cron. So let me show you an example. Here's a simple little repo that's called Daily Brew. So in this case, I use the O1 model, the new reasoning model from OpenAI, to brew up a daily reflection to me and send it to a Slack channel. So it's a really simple little graph, and I'll show you that right here. Go to graph.py. And basically, I just have this make brew node. And so this is going to call O1 with a prompt that basically is going to take the day and will brew up a reflection based upon the day. Could be something historical, based upon the season, or something that actually happened on that particular day. Okay, so that's part one. O1 will do that. And then I'll go ahead and write to Slack. So this other node in my graph just will write that to a Slack channel of my choice. Very simple. So now I have this repo. All I do is I go over to my Langsmith. Now, go to LangGraph platform. Cool. Just click New Deployment. This loads my GitHub, and I select the repo. Repo selected, name the deployment, choose the branch I want to work on, add any API keys that I need. So once you finish up there, it'll create a deployment. So here's the deployment running for that repo, and you can see here's the repo link, here is the deployment link, and what's nice is I get information about, for example, different revisions of my project that I deployed, trace counts, and I get, for example, Langsmith traces for everything that runs in my deployment. So it's all pretty nice right here. Copy this URL. If you go back to the repo, you'll see in the README just some simple little code here to create a cron for that particular deployment. So with that code I grabbed from the README, I can just spin up, for example, a notebook in the repo, paste that code in, add my deployment URL right here, and I can connect to my deployment using the LangGraph SDK. Now I can look at the assistance for my deployment. So basically, assistant is basically a default configuration for your deployment that's created once you create the deployment. You can copy the assistant ID and just run that command to set up a cron. That's all you need to do. And pass in your assistant ID and whatever time you want the cron to run. Nice and easy. You'll also note that you can search for crons. So all crons for your deployment you can actually look at, and you can delete them. So I schedule my cron to run every day at 12:45 p.m. and publish to Slack. And I'm in my Slack now. I'm looking at the O1 Daily Brew Slack channel. So you see in the repo, I explain very simply how to create a webhook for this particular channel. And I just add that as an environment variable in my deployment so it knows where to write to, and that's all you need to do. It's very simple. So this sends me something from O1 every day. Now I do want to briefly mention why crons are really interesting, some of the use cases we're seeing for crons. So generally speaking, crons are really useful for ambient agents. And the idea here is that there's lots of agents that I want to run in the background. And I can trigger them with a cron to run at specific times. It could run in the middle of the night, it can run in the morning, whenever, and I have a number of these that are running. And it'll do work for me on some schedule and publish to frequently Slack, but it can really be anything you want. You can configure deployment to write wherever you want to. So we have a recent blog post on ambient agents and a number of things that came out this week. So one of the ambient agents we released this week is a social media agent. So this runs on a cron at a particular time of day. It will scan, for example, feeds. We can configure it for Slack. You can configure it for the web. And it'll produce social media content that we can then approve and then publicize. Now, another great one here is trend tracking. So I have a number of these trend trackers. One is configured for Reddit. Another was configured for fantasy football for our internal team. This will scan internet sources of information and publicize updates that are of interest to me. We've seen other projects that use this. O1 Trend Finder is another great one. This looks at Twitter. But they're all the same theme of you have ambient or in the background style of agents that run, do work on some schedule, and publish to, for example, Slack or email or somewhere else. So this type of pattern, I think, is going to be very popular, and crons enable it. They're an extremely convenient way to schedule your assistants or agents to run on regular intervals. So hope you enjoy this, and feel free to leave any comments below. Thanks.